Hello and welcome to Filthy Casual Vanguard. This will be my first deck profile, and it's going to be of my pet deck in Overdress, Phantom Blaster Overlord. I've been playing it since Phantom Blaster Dragon came out in Set 2. Tried to, turn it into something fun and semi-decent. It never really worked out, but we're getting close. It's fun. It's playable, and I still enjoy it, even though it doesn't really take locals or anything like that. I like the vibe. Without further ado, let's get started. First, we're going to start with the ride line. We've got Full Bow at 0, Javelin at 1, Blaster Dark at 2, and PBO Phantom Blaster Overlord at 3. One of the fun parts about this deck is how much you can mess with the ride line. The wild card in the ride line is the Great One. I'm using Blaster Javelin. I like the ability to high roll off of, say, a Topaz or a Coco or Dira or the Ace unit as well now. And when the promo comes out, you can high roll with that too. But occasionally you will hit like a trigger, especially heals hurt, draws kind of hurt, OT. You might as well scoop it up and reshuffle, or you can play through it. Channel your inner dark states. As far as other ways to play the ride line, you can run Marin in the ride line. Marin in the ride line is very low risk, low reward. You may run into times where you do not want to retire the unit you call, where like Javelin can sometimes call bunk, but sometimes call you something useful. Or if you hit a Dira, you might not necessarily really prize the second drive that turn. You can get a top 5 check instead. Find Persona, PG, or Phantom Blaster Dragon, put in Soul later. But Marin is just like more consistent, right? Like you don't low roll yourself into oblivion during a long tournament using Marin. So if you want to go with that, that's totally fine. There's also Tranquilia. Tranquilia is great. You get the top 5 search, fairly consistent card to use for your deck. My issue, actually, and if you fail the search, you get an 8k body as opposed to a 6k body from Marin calling out Wingle Brave. But my issue with Tranquilia is that since it doesn't have a clan, when you're going second, if you have Cocoa and Phantom Blast Dragon in your hand, you cannot use the Cocoa. Cocoa is blank during that turn. You don't get the filtering, you don't get the top deck stacking. The aggression is just very basic at that point. But it's really up to you based on how exactly you want to build the deck. And with a few cards coming out in the near future, like this matters. Alrighty, we're going to move on to the main deck. To start it off, we've got 1, 2, 3 Phantom Blaster Overlords. Persona rides, it's the name of the game. Run them. I'm using 4 Phantom Blaster Dragon. Yes, these are bricks, but I like to see it as early as possible, get it into the soul, get Overlord's crit up and running for that pressure. Over the course of the game, you'll be discarding. This is ride fodder, PG fodder. You can discard it to Blaster Dark when Blaster Dark gets its drives from Cleodna. You can call it onto the board and use Blaster Dark to retire this. This is especially important considering the build that I'm running right now, which we will get to later. So, having 4 of these isn't the worst thing in the world. The worst time to see this is when you're doing your twin drive with Blaster Dark, especially if you don't have PGs in your hand. Alright, Next we've got for Cleodna. This is what makes the deck sing. If you don't see her, you're probably losing. That's just how it is nowadays. Um, there's not much more to say about her. She unfortunately doesn't work if you're going first. That would be amazing. Um, she's not very searchable. It's just, it's just what you deal with sometimes when decks don't get updated very frequently. Next, we have 4 undercover Dira. Dira's really good. You get the top 5 check for an undercover Shadow Paladin, which is in this deck more Dira, your Phantom Blaster Dragons and Overlords, and your Perfect Guards. All very good things to find. The power gain from Soul Blasting 1 is really great. Unfortunately, turn 1 going first, she's underwhelming since she's not attacking a grade 3 unit in order to get that power gain. So defensive triggers can really muck up a turn 3 going first with this build as I have it right now. We have 4 Biscotti. It's a generic triple rare. It means it's probably good. It lets you get more during your ride phase, and also makes like guarding pot shots feel better. Yeah, you have your. Also, the skill on Persona Ride can be very useful for finding that one piece that you need to get some good aggression on your turn 4 and onward. Going to grade 1s, we've got 4 Battle Sister Coco. As soon as they revealed this card, I knew I wanted to have 4 in the deck, and I got these at double frame as soon as she came out. So I didn't have to pay the sky high price that she's at right now. Just a really good card. Gets you your Phantom Blaster Dragon into your soul, or some other piece that you don't really need right now to filter and set up the top deck for hopefully a trigger. She eats up defensives once your opponent is at grade 3, which is really useful, just to keep asking for more guard, and she's also good for guarding grade 3 Vanguards, so you can keep triggers in your hand for rear guards that happen to get large. Next, I have my fun tech, 4 in Flame Lion. This card restands when a unit is placed in front of it during the battle phase, which in this deck will be Blaster Dark. Unfortunately, this costs energy, so your energy is going to get kind of tight if you've been using Biscotti a ton. Biscotti may end up eating into your Counterblast, which may or may not be tolerable. It really depends on the state of the game. But this is very helpful in having like a nice column with Blaster Dark once it gets called by Phantom Blaster Overlord. Turn 3, your Blaster Dark will be at least 15. If you're going first, it'll come out 15, and the defensive can stuff that 15, especially if you don't check any triggers. But with an Inflame Lion having restood behind your Blaster Dark, this column now becomes 23. You can ask for more guard, not make you feel like you're wasting your time playing this somewhat subpar deck. As for some singletons, we've got a Topaz, very good for board building. Shield in a pinch, you can't really beat this. You can't run 2 because you have to use your Blaster Dark over the course of the game, so it's in the right deck. You don't want to get rid of that. We have the Ace unit, Iskadid. Really good, just checking for 7 to help build your board. The resists can be fairly useful. My one beef with this card is that because you're retiring so many units over the course of the game, it will very rarely be a 20k attacker. It'll be a 20k attacker on place later on in the game, but you might never see that 25. That would be really nice. And lastly, for the Regalis piece, is Fire Regalis. More uh, searching for those particular pieces that you need. If you want to keep everything in the deck, you get to draw a card. It's just really good. Really good ride fodder. There's a reason it is very expensive right now. I hope it gets reprinted. That was the front 30. Now we're doing the back 20. We've got 4 Dragsaber Esras. These are Shadow Paladin PGs, so they're searchable with Daira. We're running 4 because of Daira. Instead, so we have a 4th searchable PG instead of 3 and 1 Elementaria Sanctitude. Also, Blaster Javelin wants to call a unit, so if you happen to hit your Sanctitude, you are... Oh, that's rough. I've had that happen to me, so once this card came out and Daira became a card, this seemed like a no-brainer. But depending on your ride line, if you're not running Javelin, you can go 3 and 1 if you want. It's up to you. For triggers, we've got Eidos Pharaoh. Eidos Pharaoh is just really good. Crit pressure. You get your pick of the litter from the drop. It's generally good overall. Get your PGs, get a Biscotti back, get a Cleodna back if you need it. You know, they're just very good all around. One of the best. We're on 8 crits. Got 8 crits. We've got 3 draw. And we've got 4 heals. We're on draws because very piece reliant deck. This deck has a hard time building a board, especially since Daira doesn't really find things that builds boards besides another Daira, which eats into your counterblast. So we want to draw things. This is also why I wanted to try out Flame Lion. Earlier I was using fronts, but then I would have problems building boards after being devastated, later in the game. And in Flame Lion, on a Persona Ride turn, makes a 43k base column with Blaster Dart, because Blaster Dart has 10k base, 10 from Persona, 10 from Overlord, and 5 from its own ability. That makes 35, and then the 8 behind it makes 43. That's really good. So any triggers you find can go on the other rear guard to create that pressure that you need to rip cards from your hand and from your opponent's hand and hopefully knock them out for the win. As far as heals, I'm going with base heals because I don't really participate in tournaments. This is filthy casual, not filthy champion. You can go with restand heals if you like, considering Sagra. What else is going on? Virgilla. In the metagame so far, Minerva has a restander. Again, up to you. Depends on how sweaty you want to get. Alright, and now for considerations in the future, or for now, actually. Before I played with Bradiarch, I really like this card. This card is great pretty much at any point in the game. This is a reason to run Tranquility on the ride line, to find this card. If you're going second, you get the extra power and the top deck check, which is really nice. It's really good behind the Cleodna, because when you retire Cleodna and this with Blaster Dark, this then goes to the drop, ready to help you keep whatever you discard with Blaster Dark in your hand, since you pay 3 energy and remove this from the game to keep the card. Very, very useful. I just felt like swapping it out because I wanted to try out in Flame Lion, and I am liking in Flame Lion, but the deck is a bit more fragile because of it. Will not lie. Oh, also with Bradiarch, you get to do fun things with Biscotti. You can discard Biscotti during the ride phase, and then use Counterblast for Biscotti, or energy if you happen to be going second, and then use Bradiarc to get the Biscotti back. Especially if you're running Tranquilia, this can help like smooth out your hand so that you can reveal the right grades and get the top deck search. Very nice card. I cannot fault you if you run this. What else? What else? What else? We've got Maples. Maples, very good card. Nothing like free cards in a card game. Grade 2 Maple is great. She's on turn 3. She's got 5k shield. She can intercept. If for some reason you're not calling Blaster Dark on your first grade 3 turn. Just good fodder all around. Grade 1 Maple is great when you're going further into the game. Get that Persona ride, and she goes right in the back row, waiting to boost her Cleodna, and that makes a 33k column, which is always nice. Every 5k that you ask from your opponent matters, for the most part. And then Blaster Dart comes in, retires the Maple, puts her in the drop to keep that going, and then you're not burning extra cards from your hand in order to get the retire, right? The main issue with these is that, once you find one, you don't want to see any more of them, but you have things you can do with the extra copies in your hand. So in the future, we've got a grade 3 promo coming out that is like Cleodna, but is a Shadow Paladin, which means Dira can search it. Is a mini Namine. You put a card in the soul and draw a card, and it gets power, which is really nice. 28k on place during a Persona Ride turn is pretty good. It does ask for energy, which may mess with what you're using for energy dumps in your deck. I took out Bradiarc to try and Flame Lion. When this dragon comes out, Biscottis might get dropped. Could replace with Spiral Cuties, maybe. Since Soul shouldn't be that big a deal with Coco and that new dragon in the deck. And along with that new dragon, you can think of Aspronia and Saphira, right? Your new dragon is also a good card to hit with Javelin, just keep the high rolls coming. And then you can retire it, and then if you have an extra counterblast, you can call it back with Aspronia and Saphira, keep filtering, and have it ready to go for your turn 3. The one issue with this card is that it doesn't work if it's called from the top of the deck with Javelin, which is not the worst thing in the world. But you do get the top deck Scry, and the call is pretty good, but she doesn't get power on her own, and PBO does not distribute power to rear guards other than Blaster Dark, so you gotta deal with what you got. And finally, we are looking forward to the Nebula Knight order being released to the game. What the Nebula Knight order does for the deck is, once you hit grade 3, you can start digging for your top 7 for pieces that you need. It pretty much refunds your discards for riding. Also, great to discard for Cleodna, perfect cards, whatever you need. You put it into Soul of Kokora and Soul Blasted with Dira right after. There are ways to utilize the card. What it does do is really dissuade you from running Blaster Javelin in your ride line, since it's more just plain misses for your ride line in order to utilize your Blaster Dark. Again, not the worst thing in the world. You have other things you can use Counterblast for, especially if you're running Dira or Aspronia and Saphira. That it's just a thing to keep in mind when that card gets released to the masses and becomes something ridiculously expensive, since it's probably going to be 4 or 5 copies a case. So we have that to look forward to. But yeah, a good card to look out for. I think that's it for my deck overview and kind of thoughts for the future for Phantom Blaster Overlord. Um, Give me a like if you like it. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or concerns, put them in the comments. Um, this is Filthy Casual Vanguard signing out.